unstable. Okay, we'll do the best we can. All right, I'd like to call this meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Northeast to order August 13th, 2020. I have a note to myself to turn on the record button. And I'd like to start with a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Gail, could you please conduct a roll call?
Supervisor Cannon,
Here.
Councilman Fidelli,
Here.
Councilman Kay,
Here.
Councilman Goodwin,
Here.
and Councilwoman Morrison. Here. We have four.
Thank you. I have a couple of amendments to the agenda. First of all, I'm going to pull the resolution introducing the local law to exceed the tax cap. It seems that I managed to bring the wrong paperwork, so we're not going to do it with the wrong paperwork. We're going to wait, get it right in September. I would like to add to the agenda a resolution to authorize the supervisor to sign a contract with Dutchess County for participation in the county's snow and ice control program. I seem to have lost. We'll do the best we can. Could I have a motion to amend the agenda as described?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I see that we have a member of the police department here. Would you like to, I have distributed the report that Chief Leader sent to us to all the board members.
Okay,
We'd be happy to hear your presentation.
so my name is Officer Edward Boyles. In the month of July, the Millerton Police Department responded to 37 total incidences, 17 of which were in the village, 3 of which led to an arrest in the village, 17 were in the town, and none of the calls in the town resulted in an arrest.
All right, thank you. As I said, we have received a report which has been distributed, so members of the board have had a chance to look at it. Does anyone have any questions?
No.
No? At this time?
Okay.
Anyway, thank you for coming and being here, and we look forward to seeing you on the streets and back here in September.
My pleasure. You guys have a great evening.
All right, thank you very much. First of all, I just wanted to note that there was a wonderful letter in the Millerton News today commending the town's highway department on the job that they did of clearing Modoc Road. And it was really nice to see a positive comment come to the highway department. And I hope that we got a chance to share it with members of the department.
I sure did.
A quick update on Tropical Storm Isaias. Many residents of the town and village were without power and communication for a number of days. This was a really unexpectedly severe storm, and it certainly was one of the most severe storms of this type that we've experienced in the past number of years. The job that Central Hudson was viewed as doing was considered by the county and by a number of the towns in the county to have been a really good job, given the severity of the storm. They had called in reinforcements in advance. They did send many of them over on the other side of the river, thinking that the hurricane was going that way, but they did manage to get them back. And I think that Central Hudson's job was viewed as positive compared with the job that some of the neighboring utilities were able to do or did, particularly Orange and Rockland across the river or Eversource in Connecticut. But it does sort of raise the question in my mind is, why are we in the year 2020 in the United States of America still finding ourselves with these amazing loss of power for days and days on end? And it has a lot to do with our unwillingness to bury utility lines, something that is beyond the power of this town board to solve, but I think it's something that still calls out for some action. Open meetings. The original order authorizing virtual public meetings was signed by the governor on March 12th. A few days ago, the governor signed another executive order, number 202.55.1, extending that authorization until September 4th. However, we've been advised by our county executive that that authorization is not likely to be continued beyond Labor Day. So at the planning board meeting last night, the question came up, how can we continue to enable people who are either uncomfortable or have reasons for not wanting to be in person at a meeting to continue to be able to view or attend a meeting. And I'm happy to say that Bill has agreed to help me, and I've asked John Midwood to also work together to see if we can come up with some solutions for improving our technology. I recognize that obviously we have an unstable internet connection tonight, and it is hard for people viewing the meeting remotely to hear everybody in the room. I did bring a microphone, and I'm hoping that it'll be better tonight. But I look forward to seeing what we can do to improve the ability of people to for us to live stream our meetings as well as to record them. Quick note on coronavirus. The statistics as of today were that there are 243 active cases in Dutchess County, which is up a little bit from last month. 3 people hospitalized in the entire county at the moment, which is significantly down from where we were a few months ago. However, the number of cases countywide has gone up, and I think we need to be aware that this could turn around in a dime, and we could be facing the situation that other places have, which thought they were in the clear and turned out not to be. The budget committee of the town, which is Lana and myself, will be beginning its work soon. Finances that the town is going to be facing are uncertain at this point still, but we hope to get more information in the next month and be able to present some kind of a report to the town in terms of where we stand financially for next year by the time of the September meeting. We've had the police report. Bob, do you have a report from Highway?
Sure. It's time to advertise for sealed bids for highway materials for 2021. It would be things like sand, gravel, blacktop, fuel, some of the items that would be going out for sealed bids. Would the board like to authorize me to advertise for sealed bids for those items?
Would somebody like to make a motion to authorize Bob to go out for bids for those items which he just mentioned?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Let me see whether we can get, I know Catherine was in the meeting a minute ago, and this connection seems to be going in and out because it keeps going blank. Okay, wait a minute. Catherine? Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can. I lost you for a while.
It keeps going in and out.
Yeah.
Is there any report?
I have no report. I just wanted to be here in case there was any questions or anything going on that I needed before.
Okay. Anybody on the board have any questions for Catherine? No? I think you're all done. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
The reports, Gail sent the reports from the clerk's office for the planning, zoning, building department, and so on to each member of the board. I know you've all had a chance to look at those. I don't know if anyone has any questions, but otherwise you have them. Let's do a few committee reports. George, would you maybe just tell us how you feel the highway garage construction is going along overall?
We are moving right along. The concrete is now completely in place. The blacktop has been completed up there on the interior of the building, and also under the shed that is going to be used for storage. In addition, they've started on the walls. The framing is up. We're waiting now for the actual wall material to come in, to be delivered, as well as for the roofing. So we're moving right along. I think we're well within the time frame that was set out originally, and we're quite happy with the way things are going.
I think it's great that enormous pile of
That
material
was-
is gone
Yes,
at this point.
we were a bit concerned when we first saw that pile,
Yeah.
as to, how they were going to be able to handle it. But fortunately, they've done it very nicely. They got several more trucks and added to it, which helped out a great deal in moving that. And as we'll be going over, we're ready to get going on the entranceway, the DOT entranceway.
Yep, I think it's I'm also very pleased, and I've been up there quite a few times. I know you have, George. I know, Ralph, you've had a chance to go up. Lana, I think everybody's managed to be up there at some point. And certainly, everybody, the board should feel free to stop by and review the progress.
So will we be able to start moving salt into the building?
Yes, we will be able to load salt on time for this winter into the building. Ralph, you want to just tell us what the police committee has done with reviewing talking about the...
Yes.
contract?
There is a draft of a contract, and I believe it has been sent to the village for their review and adjustments. Actually, we understand that the state and the county are also mandating a series of changes to the police services, and what they're doing is they are looking to work on the best policing practices, set some standards, and eventually, we haven't got the timing yet, but eventually each municipality will hold some type of public meeting for input from the people, and then a general agreement. So our draft of the contract, once it comes back from the village, will in all probability take into account this meeting that will happen sometime in the future.
Yeah, just to clarify what you said, the contract has gone to Warren, he has sent it back, it's gone back to Warren, and it will be going probably tomorrow, not tomorrow or next week, to the village. It does include a provision for a shared police services oversight committee. Recreation.
Okay.
Yeah.
John and I, since our last board meeting, met with Jennifer Nijak, and I thought it was a very good meeting, very informative. She went over in depth all the expenses and all the functions that the recreation department does. The three of us made some recommendations for the upcoming contract renewal, which we should be getting a draft sometime in the near future.
Great. I think it's great that that our committees are working and functioning as they're intended to, and I appreciate the help that everybody on the committees is giving, because there's a lot of work involved in running the town, as George knows and others know. So it's great to have that help. Zoning Review Committee, Ingy Greenwood.
Yes, we had our first meeting and finalized a request for proposal document. We identified 4 planners that we were going to send this document to, and we set a date. It was August 6th, and 3 of them, well, all 4 got back to me, but 3 of them actually submitted their proposals on time. The 3 are Nan Stolzenberg, Community Planning and Environmental Associates, Will Agresta, Matthew D. Rudikoff Associates, Bonnie Franzen, Nelson Pope Voorhees. We're going to have a meeting on Monday to evaluate and discuss, the committee is having a meeting, and figure out whether we have more questions for any of them, and work towards a recommendation to bring to you as to which we think is the best fit for the job. But I will tell you, they were impressive responses, knowledgeable, they've done their homework, and some very interesting credentials.
Thank you, Edie. I've had a chance to look at them, and I also was pleased by the level of expertise that our project is attracting. So I look forward to hearing the results of that meeting. One last thing before we get into the rest of the agenda, I just want to make note of the fact that I've been working on a brochure to get out to residents of the town, listing sort of essential information in terms of where medical help can be received, where food assistance can be received, how to reach us here at Town Hall, and so on. And I've had the help of both of the Northeast Community Center and the absolutely invaluable help of Meg Winkler on pulling this together, as well, I should say, as Stacy Moore. And it will be it'll be a large postcard type of mailer that will go out in hopefully in the next week, with this information, but it includes full information on where people can reach people in town hall and where they can get a variety of other services. And this is something that I think is very important for us to try and make sure we communicate, in addition to email and websites, to people directly where they can get various types of help. I mentioned that I was adding to the agenda a resolution authorizing the town supervisor to sign a contract with Dutchess County for participation in the county's snow and ice control program. This is something that we have done in previous years. Last year, George negotiated a contract with the county for our town's highway department to clear several roads in the town, county roads in the town, and the county reimburses us for that work. It's done pursuant to a contract, and I think it worked well for us. I think it worked well for the county, but I think it worked well for us. And having spoken with Bob, I think we're prepared to continue that work this year. George, do you want to make a comment?
Just want to make a comment. We haven't necessarily worked with them every year on this. Actually, a couple of years ago, I decided that the contract that they were proposing at that time was not to our benefit. That the amount that they were proposing for the roads was insufficient for us to totally cover what our costs were. And that the insurance obligation that they had for years had in there had changed and did not cover us totally. So, and for 1 year, we did not contract with the county. We left it open so that they would, since our roads tend to be farther away, the county roads tend to be farther away than they are in any other town. We felt fairly certain that the county would be anxious to once again make a contract with us, which was the case. We were able to get what we needed as far as insurance goes. We were able to increase the amount per mile, and we now have what I feel is probably the best contract in the county.
Thank you. Gail, we have a resolution, which if you could read the resolution, that would be great.
Certainly. It's a resolution entitled authorizing the town supervisor to sign contract with Dutchess County for participation in the county snow and ice control program. Whereas the town supervisor of highways has been requested by the county of Dutchess to participate in the regional county highway snow and ice control program within the boundaries of the town. And whereas the county of Dutchess is requesting that the town enter into a contract with the county for participation in the county snow and ice control program. And whereas, and logically, an earlier or sooner response factor can be provided by town units and personnel within the locale, thereby benefiting the overall safety and welfare of town residents and local community interest. And whereas such participation by the town in removing snow from designated county highways and by sanding and salting or otherwise treating them for the purpose of maintaining highway safety and accessibility for emergency services is specifically authorized by Article 6, Section 135-A of the New York State Highway Law. Now therefore, be it resolved that the town supervisor is authorized to execute a contract for the town's participation in the county snow and ice control programs, and that the town superintendent of highways is herein authorized to perform such work in accordance with and to receive payment as outlined in the town and county contract for the county snow and ice control program for the winter season 2020 through 2021.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions from the board? Hearing none, could I have a motion to adopt the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, that's approved. The next item takes us back to the highway garage. One of there are two pieces of work which are in addition to the work that's currently going on that we are hoping to get to this year. And one of them is some work on that small, mostly dry stream that runs alongside the site. And the other is the installation or the construction of a new DOT-approved entrance to the site. It sounds like a simple thing to create a driveway, but it's not, particularly when the DOT gets involved in this, as I've learned. There are all kinds of stipulations as to what materials can be used, where they can be used, and drainage for it, and so on. We received a proposed change order to the current contract, which the contractor is working on the sand salt building to do, to install this, which includes excavating it, putting in curbing, putting down gravel, putting asphalt down, but also installing a considerable amount of drainage, dry wells, and so on in that area. We received a proposal from the contractor to do all of that. It just seemed it was a high number of over $70,000, which was not in our budget for this project. So we went back. I met with Bob and with Fraser Kowski, our engineer, to see whether there were ways in which the highway crew, working with One-Way Construction up there, could do some of the work and substantially reduce the amount of the cost of this entrance. And the result of that is that One-Way Construction has come back with a revised program in the amount of $36,006.50 for this. I think this is a fair price. I talked extensively with Ray. I've also had a chance the Highway Committee has discussed it and feels that this is a reasonable price for this work being done on the entrance to the site. So I would entertain a motion to accept the proposed change order from One-Way Construction Services, Inc. for access to the new highway garage site on Route 22, and to authorize CPL Associates to formalize the change order documents. And I will entertain a motion to do that.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I have an additional, one more thing to do with the highway garage. As I think you all know, we have a storage building that is up and running, which has power. We've installed the fueling tanks and fuel distribution system at the end of the storage building. That system is now in place and operational. We've done training, and the tanks have been filled, and I have to say, when I look at them, it makes me feel much better because the improvement over what we have down at the highway garage on South Center Street is dramatic when you see them. If we were to have a power outage, however, such as we just had during the winter, especially when trucks are needing to get out and plow, we would not have power to do that. So we need to get a generator and install it to power what we have up there at the moment. When we build the highway garage, the town has been given a large generator which will power the entire highway garage itself and the whole complex. But in the meantime, that's a big installation project. We need something that can power the fuel and the lights in the storage building. I have a generator, and having sold my house, I ended up with a generator and no house. So I am going to donate a generator to the town. And all it needs now is for a 200 amp fused manual transfer switch and labor to install that in order that it can be connected to the system. We have a proposal also from One Way Construction in the amount of $6,681.50. To do that work, I would like to entertain a motion to accept a proposed change order from One Way Construction Services, Inc. for the furnishing and installation of the 200 amp fused manual transfer switch, and to authorize CPL to formalize the change order documents. Having said that, if we find in the meantime an electrician who can do it, who works with the town, and who is able to perform that same service at a lower price, we will not hesitate to go in that direction. But I would like at least to have this authorization to do this in case we cannot find anybody who would do that. So, is there a motion to, as I just said, to accept the proposed change order from One Way Construction Services, Inc. for furnishing and installing this 200 amp fused manual transfer switch?
So moved.
Sarah? All in favor?
Aye.
On the agenda, it says resolution to review the bond anticipation note. We do not need a resolution. We did have a resolution actually authorizing the bond anticipation note at our last meeting. I just want to bring the board up to date that we have received the documents for the new bond anticipation note from our bond counsel. The amount of this new note is $440,000. The amount of the previous note was for $454,000. The previous note was at a 2.15% interest rate. We are going to roll that one into the new band, which is at a 0.95% interest rate. So, if there are any silver linings from current situation that we're in, is that interest rates are low, and we're going to take advantage of that. So that bond anticipation note will be signed and funded on the 24th of August. All right, I think Gail, you did have a chance to send out the minutes of the previous town board meeting of July 9th.
Yes.
Of 2020 to the board. Are there any comments or other questions about the minutes for Gail?
No, I had none.
No, if not, could I have a resolution to approve the minutes of July 9th, 2020?
So moved. Oh.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. moving down to number 10, Supervisor's Report. I had one comment that I wanted to make. One of the issues which has come up repeatedly over the years is the LED sign that was installed by the American Legion Post 178 out on the Boulevard District. We're all aware that both the comprehensive plan as well as the sign law of the town specifically do not permit LED lit signs. At the same time, following the state of emergency, which was declared by New York State as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, the town was authorized to permit the Legion to light the sign, which it did. The sign has conveyed important, timely information to the community regarding health measures which people should be following, such as the need for people to wear masks, to socially distance, to call their doctors if they feel ill, and how to reach Dutchess County's coronavirus hotline. I'd like to thank the Legion for its willingness to help in this way, and for its commitment to turn the sign off when the state of emergency is ended. But having considered this issue now for a number of years, and especially now, I feel it's time to get this behind us and to find a way to permit the regulated and responsible operation of the sign. The Legion has been going through channels asking for the sign to be permitted, and in many other ways have shown their value to the Millerton Northeast community. I have asked our attorney, who is not present this evening, to present the board with legal and feasible options that would permit the operation of this sign. We have many greater challenges in front of us at this time in this community, and I think we should deal with this so that we can focus on the other big ones that we have. I don't know if anyone on the board wants to comment on that, but that's what's been on my mind.
I agree. I think that they've handled it, I think they're very responsible about the way they've handled it through the pandemic. It's been very informative. I mean, they put information up there that I wasn't aware of. I think it's been very helpful.
I agree as well. I think the sign has been a great asset to the community during the pandemic, and I'd like to see a way to permit its use going forward.
Yeah.
I'd just like to say that for probably the last year and a half or so, I have been struggling with this problem, and it is a problem for me. I'm a firm believer in the rule of law. I think that's what has made America so great, is adhering to the rule of law. But in saying so, I also have to say that what I'm struggling with is my respect for the Legion, and I have always supported whatever the Legion has done, and their sacrifice for us when they served in the service. So this has presented a very strong problem for me, and I do have to say that, and I agree with both Lana and John's comments, that I've been impressed with their ability to really live up to their purpose for the meeting. They always claim for the signage. They always claim that this was a public purpose sign, and they have done that in this 6 months or so that COVID has been with us. So I'd like to thank the Legion and just say that it has helped me work through these challenges that I personally feel.
Yeah, well, thank you. I feel that, and I'm repeating myself a little bit, but I feel that the Legion deserves an answer. We've gone back and forth on this thing, and it's been sort of never ending. So I'm
Well, I
hoping.
just say something
Yeah.
first before we go on. although I would like to certainly say something in regard to this, I feel that because I am a member of the American Legion, that I should recuse myself from the discussion and from the vote. I may make a comment at some point in the future as a private citizen, but certainly not as a board member.
Thank you, George. Anyway, we now move on to budget adjustments. I'm happy to report there aren't any. For a change. I have a special abstract dated July 28, 2020, totaling $10,840.26, broken down as follows. K fund, $3,859.73. DB fund, $6,980.53. Could I have a motion to accept the special abstract?
So moved.
By Lana,
Second.
seconded by George. All in favor?
Aye.
I have an abstract dated August 13th, 2020, totaling $321,090.96, broken down as follows. A fund, $46,546.77. B fund, $235. DB fund, $134,146.06. Capital projects H1, $138,361.25. Special grant fund, $1,515.72. Escrow T and A2, $122.50. Payroll T and A, $163.66. Do we have a motion to accept the abstract?
So moved.
So moved by George. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
The voucher committee for September, for next month, September 2020, will be Ralph Fidelli and George Clay. Public comment. Do we have public? Let me start with the Zoom participants. Is anybody from Zoom? I can't. Let me see if I can see anybody. I can't see anybody. But if you would like to make a comment, you could enable your camera and wave your hand, but not seeing anybody.
You have chat enabled?
I do.
Yes, people do.
If anybody would like to speak, you can click on the chat icon and communicate with you that way. I don't see any. But I will keep it. I'll keep it going. Anybody here? Bill.
Okay, thanks. This is a short meeting, but I actually wound up with 3 things that I think are important to say. The first one is that I think that $6,000 for a 200 amp transfer switch is really expensive. And I think it's great that you donated your generator, which will help keep the costs down, but I encourage you to call as many electricians as possible. I haven't seen the installation there, but materials to install a 200 amp transfer switch should be less than $1,000, and it should only take a couple of hours.
I appreciate your.
Item number 1. Item number 2, Ralph, you mentioned New York State's mandate from the governor that each town with a police department engage in a set of public processes for identifying goals, envisioning, etc. for the police department.
That's my understanding, yes.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, since the town contracts for police services, and since in the current contract, and I assume the next contract says, for all intents and purposes, when operating in the town outside the village, the police department is the town's police department. Do we have to go through that process, and are you planning on going through that process?
We are going to be going through that process. There are 2 task forces which the county has set up, which will deliver a product to all of the localities, all municipalities, of recommendations for policies and procedures. One task force is composed of mayors, supervisors, police chiefs, etc., from towns and villages which have a police department. The other one is composed of supervisors and mayors of towns and villages which do not have a police department. I asked the county executive whether I could be assigned to the task force of those who have a police department, and his response was that there are a number of other towns in our situation that he would have to reconfigure all the task forces in order to do that. That the material being presented to both is essentially identical. And furthermore, he will ensure that I have access to any material which the first group received.
My thought on that, to understand that process and that the county has somehow taken control of this, but my reading of the law, and I'd love to hear somebody correct this, or even our council correct this, that each town, each municipality is supposed to engage in this process along with the constituency of the town. And I don't see how the task force is being put together by the county government supersede that. So it seems that, so am I incorrect, or?
I think you are mostly correct. I think that the plan is, once these task forces have completed their work of trying to identify across the county best practices, current practices for today's environment and technology and so on, that information will be shared with municipalities, or is being shared with municipalities through these task forces, and that municipalities are then, at that point, asked to conduct public outreach and to receive public comment, and to create a process for doing that, which I know the mayor is intending to do.
And I assume that the town will do as well.
The town, absolutely. And if we have a joint police committee, which we hope and believe we will be able to have, that would be perfect to host that meeting.
Switching to item number 3, it's not clear to me what you were proposing or what the statement that you made concerning the Legion sign actually means. As we know, you cannot grant the Legion an exemption from zoning. So I'm wondering, what were your instructions to council with respect to permitting the sign view operation? Was it to figure out a means by which that could occur without changing zoning, or are you anticipating a change in zoning?
I keep being told by some that it is impossible for the board to do anything on this, and by others that no, actually the board could do something to at least resolve this in a timely way. This thing has been going on for a long time. I would like to be able to give the Legion an answer.
So I'm still,
Obviously, you know, we need more information, and I have asked our attorney to provide us with that. I
okay,
feel what we've gotten so far has been insufficient.
so in the event, I just want to make sure that the statements that everyone's making, except for George, who's accusing himself, in support of allowing this sign, that everybody understands that this may mean that you are anticipating changing the zoning to allow similar signs throughout the district. And
We can't anticipate that because the zoning committee has not done its work. So we have to wait. We can't.
that's not what
I don't
George
think
said.
that we
George
should
didn't
make
say
a
wait,
decision.
George said we need to get this behind us quickly.
I'm Chris.
I'm sorry, Chris. You said
I
what
know,
George
we're all
said.
males.
Yes. All right, well, in any event, think about what you're actually saying besides that we support the Legion, which everyone does. You have to support the vision of the town as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I still do not see any chat notifications.
May I make one comment?
Sure.
Last meeting, it was brought up that during, when I was supervisor, that we had allocated funds for basketballs for a private group. That was not exactly the case. What we did was the board approved the purchase of basketballs for the town, and that those basketballs could then be used by different groups. It was not that we were giving any money to any group at that time. That it was that the town would have control of those basketballs. I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you, George. Any other board members have any?
Chris, I'm wondering if you would want to make a statement about the census.
I would love to make a statement about the census. And in my next email that I will get out hopefully very soon, that is one of the main things that I am writing about. All across Dutchess County, and probably across New York, and probably across big parts of this country, the census is lagging. And it is critically important that communities like ours, counties like ours, get an accurate count of everybody who's living here. I think that the latest statistics that I saw are, somewhere in the high 30s or low 40s%. The census people are going to start going door to door in the next few weeks, which is the part where they really do try and find people who have not filled out the census forms and so on. But at the same time, the federal government has shortened the amount of time. Because of COVID, they had originally extended the amount of time for performing the census by a number of months, and they are now going to shorten it by a month, which makes no sense to me whatsoever. So there is a lot of pressure on us now to help get the word out for people to complete the census. It can be completed in a number of languages and without any legal ramifications concerning citizenship or other issues. So I think we need to get the word out. The mailer that we're gonna put out this week has the whole thing on the census. And if people have ideas of more things that the town can do to get the word out, I hope we will do it. I know that people have been at the farmer's market talking about the census, so it's an urgent priority.
Could the fire company put something on their sign?
They could.
Or even the Legion do something on their side. It's really critically important because today, with the mentality of this COVID-19, people may be reluctant to open the door,
Right.
or because a canvasser, a census canvasser, will knock on the door. Now, people can maintain the social distance, but it's critically important that they get the information of who lives there, how many people, because it will affect the money that the town gets in the future. So, critically important.
Thank you for raising that. It really is an important thing. We don't have it staring us in the face every moment, so it's easy to forget about. But it's one of the most important things we've got to try and do. I know other towns are doing everything they can around here to get the word out on that as well. So
I wonder if it'd be helpful if some of us went to some of the houses they know us, we're a familiar face. Maybe we could help the census
I think
bureau
we should
out.
probably check in with the county's census coordinator to see whether that would be helpful, appropriate, and so on. But
Lina, that's not an easy job. That's
Oh,
a
I know
very
it's not.
tough job of knocking on some of these doors. And some of our neighbors live in very rural areas with dogs around and everything else.
I know.
So we
it's
need
just
to
not
get that
way
word
it
out
was
that
ago.
we can maintain social distancing, but it's not just a matter of meeting and saying hello to somebody. It's getting some critical information
I
that
know,
can
but I'm just saying,
affect our money.
if they see a familiar face, they might be more apt to respond.
Well, if we
Come
can
to
get the
door.
word out that they are coming, somehow we can get that word out.
I have a chat comment from Meg Winkler that the town of Northeast response rate is currently 46.4%.
What was the number?
46.
Wow,
Four,
that's
but
high. I had heard 35 point something.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's, if we think about it, that's
Yeah.
still.
Well, we have a long way to go.
We have a long way to go. Okay.
And you can do this, by the way, on the internet too.
Yeah, you can, or by telephone,
Right,
or by mail.
right.
Okay, any other comments? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.